Be inspired by everyday people and household names
who share their struggles, uplifting stories, and insights
with courage and authenticity,
empowering individuals
and the collective
to enhance our health,
expand our horizons,
and treasure the moments of our lives.
I'm Patty Teal.
And I'm Anthony Giannini.
Welcome to Everyday Enlightenment. Today's guest is a very special lady named Nancy Martz. She's the founder of the Apples to Zucchini Cooking School. I can't wait to hear about that. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Nancy Martz grew up in Santa Maria and attended UCSB. She has a law degree and has spent her career in nonprofits. When she's not teaching classes, cooking at home, or writing recipes, she is gardening, paddleboarding, or reading. Nancy and her husband have 2 sons. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm excited too. And I know you do a podcast, so you're used to being interviewed, but often you're the interviewer.
It's kind of fun to be on the other side of the table. This is very exciting.
Absolutely. So what was the impetus for starting this Apples to Zucchini Cooking School, and when did you start it?
So there were several factors that led to starting it. But we started in 2015 with our first classes in 2016. So some of the things that led me to starting a cooking school for kids here in Santa Barbara, if we go all the way back to law school, I was living in San Francisco, and there was a cooking school and store, kind of like a sur la table, where you could buy all the stuff. Then they also had classes, like a Williams Sonoma. It was something like that, called Home Chef. And so I signed up for a 12-week cooking course, and everything on itself. So the next week we made stock, and they said, so go to your butcher and ask for the gizzards. And I was like, okay. So, right, a little crazy, but exciting, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then the next week we took the stock and we learned how to make a roux, and we made sauces. And then the next week we took the sauce and we made souffle. Then we started making pastries and making different kinds of dishes with the pastries and so forth and so on. So this idea was that by the end of 12 weeks, you really had a comprehensive skill set in the kitchen. And I've often said that I have used that 12 weeks in my life much more than the 3 years of my law degree.
Oh,
so just this idea of learning, teaching and learning how to cook. And then many years later, my son was in 6th grade at Marymount, and they do, at the time they participated in the UN World Hunger Day or World Food Day, where the kids were given the opportunity to do the $1.50 challenge, which is to live off of $1.50 for one day, to feed yourself just $1.50 worth of food. And it was voluntary. The kids didn't have to participate if they didn't want to, but my son did. And I realized that if you're a family of 4 and you're living on $1.50 a day, that's $42 a week to feed 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
It is not impossible. It's definitely doable, but you have to know how to cook. You have to have the time to do it, and you need to know what to buy, what raw ingredients to buy. You're not buying pre-made mashed potatoes. You're buying a 5-pound bag of potatoes, and you're not buying rice-a-roni. You're buying bags of rice and knowing what spices to put in. And then the third thing was that my family was volunteering with the food bank here in town, and we were sorting fruits and vegetables. And sometimes we would get these fruits and vegetables, and somebody would hold something up and say, "What is this?" And everybody would look and say, "I think it's a jackfruit. I think it's a type of kiwi." And I realized if this fruit was delivered to somebody's home and they got this, or this vegetable, who knows if it was a fruit or a vegetable, if they didn't know what it was, they would have to look it up on the internet. That assumes that they have a computer and an internet connection. So let's assume that this family does have a computer and an internet connection, and they look it up. and they see a recipe for this and it says mince it and saute it. Well, now they have to know how to mince and saute. So I realized that without cooking education, families with low incomes they're not, they're going to be wasting money. They're going to be spending a lot more money to feed themselves than they would need to if they knew how to cook. So the reason that we decided to teach the kids instead of the parents is that if mom comes home or dad comes home and says, hey kids, we're having kale tonight, the kids are going to say, no, we're not. And if the kids come home and say, Mom, why don't you make kale chips for me? She would say, get in the car, we're going to the store right now and getting all the kale we need. So the kids can really become ambassadors for changing like food habits and exercise habits in their families' lives. So those are the three kind of life experiences that led me to start Apples to Zucchini.
Oh, I just love that. I mean, you said so many fascinating things. That experiment they did at Marymount, I had a child also go to pre-K at Marymount, wonderful school, but what a wonderful way for them to actually experience it. You can here live on $1 a day or live on $1.50 a day, but to actually take that challenge and to do it, that's amazing.
It was really neat. And the year before my son did it, and then the year my son did it, the UN World Food Day fell on a Thursday, and it was also the day of the soccer games at the school. And so the math teacher, who was the one leading this program, went to the head coach, Gary Massinio, and said, oh my gosh, I'm really sorry. 2 years in a row, these kids are going to be falling apart. They're not going to be able to play. I'm really, really, really sorry. And Mr. Massinio said, bless his heart, I get teared up every time I think about this. He said, I don't care if we lose a game. These kids are going to learn what it's like to try and play when you're starving.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Gives you goosebumps, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, I know that you mentioned on your website that you feel like cooking is a little bit of a lost art for a lot of kids, a lot of young adults even. They never learned these skills. Why do you suppose that happened? How did that change?
Well, so home ec has been driven from school curriculums. I graduated from high school in 1989, and I didn't have home ec. And when I poll my friends who are sort of in my similar age group, I would say about 50% had home ec. And of course, it wasn't uncommon that the girls did sewing and cooking and the boys did wood shop. And we just keep seeing it falling off. But it just, I think, became less of a priority. So now what we say at A to Z is there's 2 generations that aren't learning how to cook. Mine, and then, my kids' generation. And, I think a lot of kids can still learn cooking at their grandmother's knee. But when I'm a grandmother and my demographic hasn't learned how to cook, then who's passing that knowledge on?
Right, there's a lot of catching up to do. Can you talk a little bit about the classes that you're offering in the Santa Barbara area?
Yeah, so the main type of offer is an school program where kids sign up for anywhere from 8 to 15 weeks. It just kind of depends on the semester and what's happening. So the same kids come to the same class every week. So the same way that class I had in San Francisco, it builds on itself. We're able to say, okay, remember how last week I sliced the onions? Well, this we're going to slice the apples, and remember to use your claw, and this is how you hold your knife. So the idea is that there's this repetition, and so they learn all these different skills. So that's the main thing we do. Before the pandemic, we were at different schools. And so the kids would just go straight from the end of the school day. They would go to the multi-purpose room or a classroom or a patio and just come into our class, and then their parents would pick them up at 5 o'clock. Once the pandemic hit and the schools were closed, and even now that the schools are open, they're not quite ready to have outside vendors come in. We have been teaching at Garden Street Academy, and last year we were also at Pilgrim Terrace. So we've been teaching outdoor classes. We have stoves, we have ovens, we have sinks, and we set up tables. And so we cook together. So the kids are learning knife skills and cooking and safety around, a hot stove. And then we sit down together. We have beautiful tablecloths, cloth napkins. We sit down, we all eat together, and then the kids wash the dishes and help put everything away. So that's our main class, but we're also starting to add adult classes. And those are going to be anywhere from just a one-time class on plant-based holiday side dishes to like a 3-class topic. And you could sign up for 1 or 2 or 3 of them. And a topic might be something like seafood or cheese making or bread making. And then we're also going to have series for adults. And that's going to be much like what I did in San Francisco, where the classes all build on each other.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. I wish I was back in Santa Barbara currently to take these classes. I could really use them. You get in such a rut in your household. You go to the store, you're in a hurry, you buy the same food you always buy, you make the same thing you always bought, and while your kids may grow to like it, might not be the healthiest. And it's so fun to be exposed to new foods and new healthy ways to eat. I think it's just fabulous that you're doing that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it honestly in my own life has also gotten me out of the rut. One of our product partners is California Walnuts. So we have all these walnut recipes that they're free to the public if you just go to cawalnuts.org or .com. But we use them in our classes. And one of the favorites is vegan walnut chorizo crumble. So it's like chorizo, but it's made with walnuts and beans, and you can use regular cheese or vegan cheese and roasted red peppers and a bunch of spices. The most important spice is a smoked paprika. So you get that smoky chorizo flavor. And I make it at home now all the time. I use it on all kinds of things. But our students, I mean, even the kindergartners to the high schoolers, like that is one of our no leftovers meals. They love it.
I know. I just hearing about it, I think I'm starting to smell it.
Right? Yeah, but it's
so good.
It's definitely gotten me out of my rut where I'm like, I gotta add another recipe because everybody's tried all these. And then we look around. We're doing cauliflower tacos in a couple of weeks. And we want to use the oven since we're outdoors. Most of the cauliflower taco recipes are either deep fried or they're oven roasted. And the ovens are just, to take them outside is just a lot more work. So if we can do it on a skillet, life is much easier. So we recipe tested cauliflower tacos and they were amazing. So then now I make them at home. So it's been really sort of palate expanding for me and my family as well. It's really neat.
Oh, I bet so. It sounds wonderful. So where do you source the food that you use in your cooking classes?
That is a great question. And I love to talk about our partners. So I mentioned California Walnuts. So we get a ton of walnuts from them and we use them in lots of different recipes. We also are sponsored by Santa Barbara Farmers Market. So almost all of our produce comes from the farmers market and we try really hard to be seasonal and local. And they've just been so very, very generous and amazing. And then another source for us has been the Santa Barbara Grocery Outlet. I actually interviewed them on my podcast because I was very curious. So how do you have such cheap prices, like expired food? It's just maybe a company makes more than the demand. Seasonally, they're kind of done with that, and now they need to make room for something else. Like they'll give us $100 cards, and everybody I talk to says, "Oh my gosh, $100? That goes so far at Grocery Outlet." It's amazing how much we've been able to save, and then pass that on in terms of being able to reach more kids because we have more money in the bank that we provide the classes. So those are definitely between the walnuts and the farmers market and grocery outlet. We probably get about 80% of our grocery bill covered by donations.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Now, where's Grocery Outlet located?
Grocery outlet is on De La Vina. It's
Mm.
where Ralph's used to be.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I've been gone a while, so
Yeah.
it wasn't there. But next time I come to Santa Barbara, I
Yes,
will
it's been
definitely
there
check
for
it
a
out.
couple of years, and the word is slowly getting out. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's definitely this myth where people see that and go, oh, it's probably like no name brands and probably a really weird selection. And it's all going to be processed food, but it's not. It's great, and they're so generous and so kind, and
Oh, how
um,
wonderful.
it's really neat. Working with the farmers market is so great because then we start to get to know the farmers, and they know what we're looking for, and we'll tell them what the recipe is and say, oh, well, then you should definitely use these peppers instead of these peppers, or
Oh,
try these cucumbers instead of these ones, or in a couple of weeks we're going to have this thing. So getting with all the farmers and market in general has been just such a great set of relationships. It's really neat.
very fun. And I know you talk about the three pillars, and I like this so much because you not only cook together, you eat together, and most importantly to me, you clean up together because I think that's why I've always had a little bit of a bad attitude about cooking. I make a really big mess when I cook, and there's nobody there. I feel like the little red hen when it's time to clean up, but I love all of it. And I shouldn't say that's the most important because I think sitting down at the table together, you can't overestimate how important that is too.
Well, and the reason that we call them our three pillars is that if you drop one, the whole thing falls apart.
That's true. Hmm.
So it is. We do think that all of those are really important. We don't do demos, we don't do demonstration classes. We do hands-on. So the kids are
Hmm.
doing cooking, and we don't just send them on their way with a sample of a smoothie and then they walk off to the playground. We sit down and we eat together, and we have a process when we sit down. It's our 1, 2, 3. And they know 1, 2, 3. And so number one is we put our napkins on our laps. Number two is we look around and make sure that everyone has been served and seated. And number three is we thank the chef. And of course, if the kids have done the cooking, then they all say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they're all thanking each other, and they make a big game of it.
Oh,
But
how cute.
it's really neat. And kids always race to be the first ones to sign up for something or to get in line. And so I
Hmm.
remind them, if you are the first one in line, you are going to have to wait the longest with your plate in front of you
Oh,
before
hmm.
you get to eat. So they learn. And then, yeah, the washing together is hilarious. The kids start fighting over who gets to wash the dishes. You've already been washing the dishes. It's my turn. I
Wow,
love it.
you're
I
amazing.
love it. It's really fun. It's really neat. Well, you know what? They want to be grown-ups, and
That's
grown-ups do the
true.
dishes.
Hmm. Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. And everybody likes to feel useful. So
for
I
sure.
think deep down, for sure. If somebody is listening and they want to know about taking classes, do you have a website they go to? Would that be the best way to sign up?
Yeah, that's the best way to find out everything about us. It's www.atoz and there they can find the schedule. It'll take them to registration. We have a lot of our recipes posted there that people can just download for free. We have articles that other people have written that we find very interesting on the importance of sitting down and eating together, and why children should learn how to wash the dishes and do their laundry and sweep and make their bed. And the importance of eating the rainbow, getting a variety of fruits and vegetables. So there's a whole articles archive. We have some of our videos in there. People can reach our own podcast through there. And of course, they can also make donations directly through there. And the donations help us provide classes to other nonprofits. So we work, for example, we've done classes with Safe House, which is young women in a group home, and Noah's Anchorage, which is teens who are homeless or just kind of need a safe place. We've taught classes with Veggie IQ at Sansom Diabetes Research Institute. Great partnership with the Santa Barbara Public Library. And we've done classes up in Lompoc at the Lompoc Community Garden with the YMCA. So those classes are Those are generally paid for by generous donations.
Oh, that's wonderful. So check it out. Check out the website, a2zcooking.org. Did I get that right?
A2zcookingschool.org.
A2zcookingschool.org. Oh, I have enjoyed talking to you so much and learning about your business. And I think you're quite a remarkable lady.
Oh, thank you. I'm just doing what I do. I really appreciate having you let me spread the word a little bit, because this is our passion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nancy. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Everyday Enlightenment. To subscribe, listen to past episodes, or if you'd like to be featured on Everyday Enlightenment, visit hubforpodcasting.com.